We're going to do our Bible study a little bit different than we have done it in the past, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm going to start, just kind of introduce what we're talking about tonight, and then you guys are going to go in your small groups and go meet and kind of go deeper and like have a discussion about what we're going to talk about. What I want to talk about tonight is friendship. I say friendship. Friendship is a big deal. How many guys friendship is important to you? Yeah. How many guys friendship, who cares? I don't have any friends anyways. All right, then you're a little bit like me because I would tell you a story about when I was a kid. Now, what you might not know, this magnanimous, great personality, handsome, clever, intriguing, humble, thank you. I was going to forget that one. I always forget that one. Man in front of you at one point in his life had no friends and really felt like a loser. I want to tell you about how that happened. It didn't start that way. In fact, it started idyllic. I grew up on the street, the kind of street you want to grow up on, where there was a bunch of kids your same age that you get to kick it with. How many guys grew up in a street like that? Like your neighbors, yeah, almost nobody, right? The street I grew up on, there was like 4 boys that were all within a year of me, and dude, we used to hang out all the time. I remember from being a little kid just feeling like as soon as I could go out, we would go ride bikes. We would not have to be home till like the street lights came on. We would build forts. We would go on adventures. We would play games. We'd play baseball in the middle of the thing. I mean, we were constantly at each other's houses, and it was a great life. And one of those guys was my best friend. His name was Justin. And we were just like, dude, it was like perfect. And then something happened when I was in the 4th grade. We moved. We didn't move that far away. We only moved like a mile from my house. So the house I grew up in until 4th grade is only like a mile away from the house I grew up in for the rest of my life. But what it meant was I had to switch schools. So I was at Foster Elementary School, and I had to move to Marvin Elementary School. And you know, when you're in 4th grade, a mile might as well be like 100 miles. Like it feels like, you know, you have to like buy a plane ticket to go see your friend or something. Like we never saw each other. And I moved, and all of a sudden I found myself, I didn't have any friends. The guys I would hang out with all the time were gone. The street I moved to didn't have any of those people. In fact, it was like a busy street. I didn't know any of my neighbors. There were no other kids in my neighborhood. And then we started school, and in my new school, they hadn't gotten the message from my previous school that I was cool and you wanted to hang out with me. Because all those kids already had their friends, and they were not interested in cool Mike VanMeter. In fact, they must like something got switched up, and they must have heard that I was lame because everybody treated me like I sucked, okay? Everybody treated me like, oh, who's that guy? He looks, I don't know much about him, but he looks lame. And that's how my life worked. Now, to add insult to injury, about 6 months after I moved, I was at the park one day. My grandma took me to the park. It was a park that was halfway between my new house and halfway between my old house. And who was there? My old pal, Justin. And I was like, dude, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's up? And I looked behind him, and he's got his new friends. And I was like, the old friend. And I was like, dude, it's me, Mike. It's cool Mike. I used to live down the street from you. And he's like, yeah, whatever, dude. You look lame to me now. Somehow, the new people in my school had gotten a hold of the old friends and told them about, apparently knew my lot in life, that I was lame. We ended up getting in a fight at the park, and he kicked sand in my face. And Dorothy Bailey, my grandmother, my sweet grandmother, never forgave that kid. To the day she died. She died when I was like 27 years old. She's like, I'll never forgive that kid. Now, I've worked through it. I've forgiven him. But my point in telling you this is that for a long stretch of my life, it wasn't until I got into high school that I really felt like I was able to have like real friends again. And so I had to go through my entire 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, basically feeling like a loner, basically feeling like I didn't have any friends. And that was probably, as I look back at my life, that was for sure, not probably, that was for sure the toughest season of my life. And one of the hardest things I ever had to go through is feeling like people didn't like me and I didn't have friends. And the reason is friends are actually really important. Most of you guys probably already have figured this out. But friendship is a really big deal. In fact, the Bible has a verse in Proverbs 27:17. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Okay, so I'm going to just use this as an illustration. I've got 2 sword type things. Now, neither one of these swords would have been like Bronze Age swords that they would have been talking about that time. This is kind of like a, I don't know. It's not really a machete because you see how like like a little bit like a ninja sword. It's a little bit of a katana, but I don't even know that it's a katana. It says it's made in South Africa, if that helps anybody. This is like a little, I don't know, just like a serious knife, right, that you would fight with. But in the olden days, weapons like this were really important tools, okay? Weapons like this were like the difference between living and dying and surviving. You'd use it for lots of things, but one of the things you use it for is just to be able to defend your life. It was a dangerous time these people grew up in. And so what the Bible says, during this time, they had iron swords, and the way that they would sharpen them is they would rub them together. They would rub two swords together, and it would take off the little like dullness, and they would be able to sharpen their blades. Now, this is really important. I don't know if you've ever needed something really sharp and all you had was something that was really dull, but like, it's not a good situation, right? Now, we know this because maybe you're chopping down a tree, and dude, you could, with a sharp axe, you could cut down a tree quick. It will make some damage. With a dull axe, it's like you're hitting with a baseball bat. It's like, does not do the trick. It's really a bummer. Well, okay, whatever time you got to cut down a tree, like the first tree you ever cut down is like, awesome, I love that. And then like the third tree, you're like, I don't ever want to cut down a tree again. Like, please don't make me, Dad. But if you have a dull thing and you're using it to cut down a tree and it doesn't work that good, that's one thing. If you're going into battle against another human and you hit them with your sword and it goes, that's unfortunate because the next hit is coming from their sword to you, and if their sword is sharp, it's going to chop your head off or your arm off or whatever, right? You don't want a dull weapon going into battle. What the Bible says here is that as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. That friendship has the ability to make us sharp, to make us useful, to make us dangerous. That friendship, good friendship, right friendship, biblical friendship between two Christians has the ability to strengthen us and to make us much better than we were before. That's why God designed friendship. God designed friendship to help make us into better people. And so as we look for friends, we develop friendships. Friendship has the power to make us so much stronger. But friendship is not necessarily good. Because friendship doesn't always make us stronger. Sometimes it makes us worse. Look what it says in the very first Psalm, Psalm chapter 1. It says, how blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scoffers. The blessed man does not walk in fellowship with the unrighteous. And the reason is because when you walk in fellowship with the unrighteous, you get yourself in trouble. How many of you guys ever had a friend like that? You were good friends, but every time you hung out with this person, you kind of got yourself in some trouble. You kind of did things you weren't supposed to do. You made choices you weren't supposed to make. They influenced you in ways that were bad. That's what it's like to walk with the counsel of the wicked. How many of you guys have ever gotten bad advice from a friend? Oh, just lie. Just say this. Oh, just make sure you do this, it'll be fine. Okay, that's bad. That's the counsel of the wicked. Nor stand in the path of sinners. The path of sinners is the road that sinners go on. You do the kinds of things they do. The Bible says there's two paths. There's one that is wide and broad, and there's many who go, and it leads to hell. There's one that's narrow and difficult, that one leads to life. And as you're trying to walk on the narrow path to follow God, it's very difficult, the Bible says. But the other road is broad. The road of sinners is broad. It's easy. There's all kinds of temptation to fall into. And third and finally, sit in the seat of scoffers, where you come to so mock and malign and reject what is good and right that you just have fully embraced it. It says, but your delight is in the law of the Lord. You meditate on it day and night. If you do that, you'll be like a tree planted by waters, right? That yields its fruit in season, out of season. Leaf does not wither, and in whatever he does, he prospers. The Bible says that you have the ability to grow and to prosper, to walk with God. And a lot of it depends on your friendships. A lot of it depends on who you're hanging out with, okay? So friendship can be good and life-giving and beautiful, and God can use it in powerful ways to help you and shape in your life. And friendship can also be destructive and dangerous for you. How do you tell the difference? How do you know what's right to do? Okay, well, when you guys are going to break in your small groups right now, and in your small groups, you guys are going to discuss that, okay? You're going to discuss some of the important things to consider when you're thinking about friends, when you're thinking about what kind of friends you're trying to pick in your life, and when you think about what kind of friends you're going to be. Okay, so ladies.